Michael, just tell us about WazirX. I haven't heard this story yet, so give it to me. I know WazirX is the biggest
I think I'm back.
exchange in India. What the hell happened over there to our Indian brothers and sisters?
So the biggest exchange in India, first of all, India, as some of you probably know, both in terms of retail users and in terms of technology coming out of India, is a huge crypto hub. Obviously, we know that Polygon came from there and a lot of other companies as well. But in terms of holders, there was a Financial Times article claiming that India is the biggest crypto country, so to speak, in terms of people holding crypto, trading crypto, and so on. So with that landscape, right, you have WazirX, which is probably the biggest exchange over there, and it got hacked, and it had $235 million stolen in a matter of a few minutes. Okay.
Was that Bitcoin? I assume there's a bunch of shit coins in there. Do we know?
So it was mostly in Shiba Inu. It was also, yeah, but there's a huge chunk of ETH there. They just transferred the ETH to two wallets. I think something like 57 million out of it is ETH, and you have Matic, you have some Bitcoin as well in there. So obviously, as you guys can imagine, it's a crap show. First of all, hands down, one of the top 10, maybe even top 5, depends on how you count it, biggest hacks in history. And I have to tell you, like from our personal experience, we were the first ones to catch it. It's a huge responsibility. These moments of knowing that this hack is happening, getting the final approval from our SOC team that indeed that's the case, and you have this gap between when you get it and then until you announce it. So it's a huge responsibility, because we know that once you hit the send button on the tweet, right, it's the company is gonna, I'm gonna be like delicate here, but the company is gonna be hurt very badly, right? Very badly.
Fucked.
Yeah. So what went on in our SOC team and between the founders and all that, we had a discussion there. Obviously, first of all, we want to help the company, right? We want to help them to save the funds of the users, because that's the first priority. So I immediately reached out to the founder of WazirX, and we took it from there. We opened a war room, tried to assess what happened, how it happened, if something can be still mitigated in terms of moving funds from one wallet to another, maybe pausing some transactions. It's crucial to understand that at these specific moments, also hackers tend to come back to the crime scene, right? So usually, if you catch something, then you can imagine that maybe within a few minutes or hours or even days, you will have another hack. And we saw that just recently with the UWU hack, where they get hacked twice, I think in 2 days. So it was a crazy day. It was a crazy day. We tried to work with them. Then the news came out, and we were bombarded with the media, trying to get some quotes and trying to figure out what happened. Then all the involved parties, the wallet, the custodian, all the forensics companies started reaching out to us, because everyone wants to help. Everyone wants to understand what happened. Then the exchanges reached out to us, because they want to understand whether this can happen a second later in their exchange. So just obviously everything that I just mentioned, it's a story of its own. But just to give you guys some overview, what happens right now in India is a huge scandal. First of all, the police is involved, the FIU, the regulator, is involved. I think they have about 30 exchanges that are licensed there. And now all those exchanges are going to be summoned to a hearing. If I can find like a silver lining here, I think that maybe this will help to raise awareness for security, because I find it mind-boggling that the SEC and all the other financial regulators are so focused on some retail investor not being you know, not receiving too aggressive marketing or solicited or things of that sort, but they don't understand that if the exchanges are perfectly regulated, they're compliant, but they neglect the security part, the retail investors can suffer much more, right? On a much greater scale. And if you guys Google, if you guys search for WazirX on X right now, you see thousands of stories of your average Indian Joe, right, telling how they lost all their hard-earned money. So it's very sad, right? It's a crap show. It's still evolving, and I think it's going to have a huge impact on the industry as a whole.
I agree, and it's very sad. I mean, I know Nishal Shetty. He's been doing this daily post to the Indian government for years already, saying why crypto is awesome. But the irony here is not that centralized exchanges need to increase their security, but that centralized exchanges is actually a problem with the decentralized world of currency. So, it really is kind of silly, but we need to have this technology. This is an intermediary technology in order to get to where we're going with this, which is a decentralized world where people can exchange cryptocurrencies freely one for another, and between cryptocurrencies and fiat money, without the need of a middleman. And while we have this need of a middleman, certainly those middlemen should take extra precaution and make sure that they're running a tight ship. But we've had these hacks throughout history, throughout crypto history. From beginning in Mount Gox. By percentage, that was something like 2/3 of all Bitcoin, right? In circulation that were hacked over there. And I remember the CoinShares hack in Japan was terrible. It set crypto adoption back in Japan by at least 10 years, because before that moment, Japan was gung ho. They were the leaders of Bitcoin. They were like, you could tell, like, even though, Bitcoin doesn't have geolocation, like every time, 9 a.m. Japan comes along and you see Bitcoin just going whoosh, like as the buy orders come in. And Japan was one of the first places to legalize Bitcoin as, a legal currency and legal tender. And after that hack, the whole country just shut their door to Bitcoin, and it still hasn't recovered, I would say. That was something like 500 million, I think, probably still.
Mati, but sorry to cut you, but I have to
You're
disagree.
good.
The thing is, like, vision
I
wise,
disagree with what specifically?
uh, with everything. No, I'm
Okay.
I'm kidding. I'm going to the back to the first part of what you said, right? So Adan actually wrote here in the chat that that's what happens when you put a decentralized product in a centralized exchange.
You
I
do. You got
understand
to
that.
put those things on there before we say them.
Yeah,
You're
there you go.
you're
There you go.
really, man.
So I'm trying to balance here between the vision, right, and where we want to see the industry and the currency, and between reality, right, and especially in the what you call the global south, the third world, whatever. The situation there is that on one hand, crypto is much more widespread due to a bevy of reasons. Their currency being not that hot, and due to the fact that a lot of remittances are flowing into the country in crypto, so that feeds this whole industry. So it's a whole different mindset from what we know in Israel or in the US or in the West in general. Most people are not knowledgeable enough. By the way, the same way that most people, I think, in the US are not knowledgeable enough to handle their own wallets and to do their own trading on dexes and so on. We're not there yet, right? So I would be more than happy to get rid of this infrastructure, but we're not there yet. And
We
until
don't
we
have
get
to
the
get rid of the infrastructure, Michael. Where I was trying to get to is that while we're in this intermediary zone where this infrastructure is required, first of all, yes, those exchanges should take better care, but more than that, the users should have the common sense and the foresight
agreed.
to take their money off of the exchange. And for some reason, users tend to refuse to learn this. Okay.
Agreed.
Mount Gox did not send anybody to go, hey, we should start, having a not your keys, not your coin celebration or whatever. The Quadriga CX, which was literally mind-boggling. Like, I
Yeah.
mean, you want to believe what you want to believe about what happened to Gerald Cotton. Did he go to India and get a facial reconstruction, or is he 6 feet under? It doesn't matter. The point is, what the users should have learned is that they need to hold their own keys. They need to private custody. That was in Canada, and then 5 years later, the trucker movement happened, and suddenly the Canadian government is confiscating Bitcoin off exchanges. Did you
Yeah.
not just learn your lesson? No, for some reason, people don't learn their lessons. I think that the only real time in our short history was 2022 with Sam Bankman-Fried and Alex Mashinsky, when people go, hey, wait a second, maybe we should look at this self-custody thing and take it seriously. Like, that was like the only real time, because people were so gung-ho and so passionate and believing that they had to say, okay, wait a second, we know that this is truth. We know that blockchain is freedom and democratization. And then there was the cognitive dissonance between that and holding your money on an exchange was so great that people go, wait, and it collapsed like a house of cards. And people go, okay, the point is to self-custody, right?
Yeah.
How long will it take for that to happen in India? Maybe we can be optimistic and say that this hack will be a catalyst to that. But we'll have that's up to the Indian people.
One
I
more
want
point
to
to add
ask
to
you, yeah,
that. Sorry, Dudu. One more point to add to that with respect to the hack itself and some other hacks that we see recently. The thing is that it became a big boys game. This romantic idea of somebody in his mom's garage hacking an exchange, that could still happen, but it's kind of diminishing. What we see now, and probably the people behind this hack and many other hacks were the Lazarus group. We see hacker conglomerates being super sophisticated. You have to understand that it works like a startup, right? They invest tons of money in it. Obviously, countries invest money in it. They have the best engineers. They have amazing planning. They have crypto native people who are working for them and thinking of how they can trick the system, and they're becoming more and more aggressive and smart. And by the way, speaking of regulation and so on, you after everything that's been done, after all the KYC efforts, you still can find small exchanges in some non-compliant geos that will still help you to funnel the money and to launder the money eventually, and to get them into fiat, and then God knows what they're sponsoring here. Maybe the rockets that are flying above our heads in Israel. It's an industry of its own, and I think that we don't even understand what stands behind it. Maybe one day we will, but it's a big boys game for sure. It's not a this romantic idea of a hacker with a hoodie is no longer relevant.
I think Dudu is frozen.
I don't know why I keep getting rugged.
Oh my gosh, that is so
Frozen.
awesome. It took me a second to realize
Yeah, I
you're
thought
in
it was
such a
just
thinking position
contemplating, thinking
I'm
about
uh,
something.
frozen.
about what you said there. I don't want to
I'm
open a
screwed.
new topic this late in the show, but I don't know if you guys have been watching what's happening with CrowdStrike. Uh, it's still happening. I don't know, like if you realize, but there are places all over the United States that are just down. I'd love to, if we can get a guest on for next week, if this is still happening by then, to explain to us what the heck happened there and what are the ramifications, if any, for long term. I would love to understand that. Or is this going to just go away like other things, or is this the beginning of the end of the world where technical stuff just starts to break down because you know, it just wasn't built on a sturdy foundation, or the foundation stone cornerstones moved, or whatnot.
Yeah, definitely. Sorry for ragging again. I want to ask Michael a final question because I'm super curious about this. What exactly what happened to WazirX? Like, we hear different types of hacks, like flash loans, exploits. Like, what can you share about the post mortem of how this hack went down? And especially if I'm a SOC from some exchange watching this, how can I sort of better my systems to prevent that from happening again? And on that note, we'll end off the show. We'll let Mighty go to sleep, but I have to get the juice first.
Sure. So first of all, it's still ongoing, right? You have the best forensic investigators, the best security monitoring companies, Cyvers, working on it. And I know that Elliptic is involved, and Chainalysis, and so on. Everyone wants to contribute to that, and there are different teams. They also, by the way, published, I think today, a 23 million bug bounty to help them recover the funds. So it's still ongoing. All I can tell you is that they had a multi-sig wallet, right? The Nishal, the CEO, claimed that three out of the not claimed, it's indeed true that 3 out of the 4 wallets were in the possession of the company, and the fourth one was a wallet that was held by Liminal, which is the custodian that they worked with. It was safe wallets, by the way. And right now there's kind of a blame game between the two, right? Who was the last to sign, and so on. So our educated guess would be that it was some sort of at least for some of the wallets, maybe some sort of a phishing attack, or something else, right? Maybe, and again, I'm saying maybe some sort of an insider job, because
I'm
it's
just
really,
picturing
really...
like a massive CEO of an exchange, like getting an email, like you just got the Elon Musk Doge airdrop and clicking on the link. Cool, connect my wallet that's holding bazillion dollars of customer funds. And
There's no
with
way. There's no way. This got to be an inside job. I'm sorry. It has to be.
So this one right now is under investigation, and to be honest, I don't know what will come out. The thing is, like, we catch it on the on-chain level, right? We know that there is a hack, we know that something's going on, and we know that for sure. But the backstory, everything that happened off-chain and how it happened, is something that is much more complicated to catch, and oftentimes it's something that leaves no digital traces at all. So that's something that we'll have to learn. Again, I was referring to the Lazarus group. I know that, just to give you an example, in other hacks that we caught, they were triggering employees of companies. By the way, not necessarily high-ranking employees, right? Offering them, the best job in the world, come work for Coinbase or I don't know what, we'll pay you tons of money, sending them some sort of an assignment. Actually, we actually have a copy.
I get those guys every day, by the way. They're offering me jobs has gone through the roof over the last 2 years.
Yeah. You have to be careful with that. So again, that goes to show the sophistication here, and
wait,
how
and they give you a take-home assignment with a link to connect a wallet, and then
No,
the
not to
best
connect
one
the
is video
wallet. No,
games.
no.
Hey, we want you to be an advisor on our Web3 game. You got to download the game over here. No, thank you.
Guys, we are that's actually our forte, catching hacks in wallets and custodians and so on, in centralized entities, not in smart contracts as well, but wallets are definitely our forte. With respect to that, you see that the majority of the hacks originate from Web2 stuff. It's not, you don't have to connect the wallet, right? You hack into the system itself, and then you hack into the wallet either by API or some other way. So all they need to have access to the system, to the Web2 system, and then they can eventually get to the wallet, either by locating the private key somewhere somehow, right? Or by some other ways. But at the end of the day, still, finding the person.
Come on, it's got to be nine times more likely that somebody just knew where those keys were and how to access them, and they just had the right idea and the right plan at the right time. but come on, it's got to be an inside job. Come on, Michael.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me that an exchange would have keys on a computer.
It's possible. Yeah,
without some sort of hardware wallet, off-chain.
It's very
air
difficult
gap
to hack
signing.
cold storage. Come on, you can't like hack a cold storage.
This is an interesting case. But Michael, thank you for coming on the show. And I mean, we'll leave it at that because there's nothing else to say because it's an ongoing. So maybe in 10 years' time, we'll see the Netflix documentary with Michael giving us a little, like a, giving us the full rundown of what happened when they discover
I
it.
just gotta say, I just have to say, and again, I'm obviously biased with that, but regardless of the origin and the root cause and all those fancy words of cybersecurity people, at the end of the day, when you monitor the wallets and the smart contracts and you catch it in time, and you have the proper, risk mitigation processes, you can overcome this, right? Even if the hackers find a way that nobody has ever heard of, some sort of a new vector of attack. At the end of the day, if you monitor your wallets, and it's mind-boggling for me that there are still exchanges and custodians that do not monitor their wallet 24/7 with the best tools.
Cool. Thank you for that. I mean, we will be cutting that out and putting that online because what you're saying is gold and everyone needs to be, like at the end of the day, this isn't only about your business or their business. This is about some guy in Bangalore who works hard, wants to get out of the 9 to 5 cycle of poverty and apes into a bunch of Shiba Inu and then get that all stolen by Kim Jong Un's henchmen. So we want to prevent as many.
We get it. We got to learn lessons. The exchanges
Yeah.
need to lock their shit up better, and the people need to learn to put their money where their mouth is, so to speak. Well, no, they need to take their money out of the exchanges and hold it by yourself, because that is the point of self custody, which is the point of Bitcoin. And if you're holding Bitcoin or any other decentralized asset, as Adan Kedem has pointed out, on a centralized exchange, you're doing it wrong. Sorry, you're just doing it wrong. You can be lazy. Maybe it's convenient for you, but that money is at risk. So learn self-custody. It's not difficult.
Okay, guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks a lot for being on. We appreciate your insight, man. That's really good stuff.
Have a wonderful
See you again after so
next
long.
week.
Good night, Mati.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Well, that was